Every classroom has that one student. While everyone else has opening their books, they are staring out the window, sliding down in their chair, and eventually putting their head on the desk. They are completely checked out. As a teacher, it is incredibly frustrating. You try your standard interventions, you offer help, but it feels like hitting a brick wall. Sometimes they ignore you. Sometimes they distract the rest of the room. Most teachers went into education because they liked school. They were good students. That shared background makes it incredibly difficult to natively understand the mindset of a disenfranchised learner. It is easy to look at that apathy and assume it is about the math worksheet or the reading assignment, but the resistance rarely has anything to do with the academic content. It is a defense mechanism built from invisible baggage that the student is dragging into the classroom every day. Psychologists track this baggage through adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs. This is a framework that measures trauma, dysfunction, or neglect at home. A high ACEs score means a student is starting their day in a state of high stress, altering their starting line before the school bell even rings. This insight comes directly from educators who have lived it. Chris Bach, a teacher who specializes in this exact problem, was once a disenfranchised student himself. He had a high ACEs score and dropped out of high school before eventually returning to earn a master's degree and become a teacher. That lived experience reveals a hard truth. Trying to solve a trauma-induced defense mechanism with a standard one-size-fits-all lesson plan is going to fail. The instruction just bounces off. This diagram illustrates the multi-tiered system of supports. The wide base represents Tier 1 core instruction for 80% of your classroom. For a disenfranchised student, this rarely penetrates their defenses. They require the upper levels, Tier 2 targeted scaffolds or Tier 3 intensive interventions. Standard structural supports address the logistics of learning, but students also need a direct antidote to toxic stress. The HOPE framework, Health Outcomes from Positive Experiences, addresses this by focusing on building true resilience. This involves intentionally building what researchers call the 40 developmental assets. These are positive experiences, relationships, and opportunities that you, as a teacher, can manufacture. By creating a safe environment and fostering connection, you help a student build actual resilience. Effective intervention requires a dual approach. You have to deploy rigorous MTSS academic structures while simultaneously acting as the primary architect of positive emotional experiences in that student's life. Knowing the high-level frameworks is one thing. The real challenge is executing them during a chaotic 45-minute class period. A key strategy is Universal Design for Learning, or UDL. Instead of writing a standard lesson and trying to staple extra support onto it later, UDL bakes flexibility into the lesson's DNA from the start. You give students multiple ways to engage with the material and demonstrate what they know. Another powerful tool is project-based learning. Struggling students are much more likely to complete tasks when the assignments align with their actual personal interests. Granting them autonomy over a project gives them an academic purpose they previously lacked. The most vital tactic happens interpersonally. You must actively hunt for moments where the student displays genuine intellect or cleverness and explicitly call it out. Organic moments for this kind of praise rarely happen during traditional content. You have to creatively engineer scenarios, like social activities or specific problem-solving tasks, that give that disenfranchised student a chance to show off their skills. Universal design, project-based learning, and targeted praise operate as psychological tools. They systematically dismantle a student's negative self-perception and slowly rewrite their internal narrative so they begin to see themselves as capable. Even if you execute those strategies perfectly, you are likely going to hit a trough of frustration. For weeks, or even months, the student will continue to flounder, refuse to participate, and resist your help. This resistance is entirely predictable. Disenfranchised students expect adults to give up on them. They will actively test your boundaries and push back, waiting for you to walk away so they can confirm their own negative worldview. To bridge that gap, you have to deploy authentic belief. Your persistence simply has to outlast their disbelief. When they see that your belief in their capability doesn't waver, their defensive walls finally begin to drop. The realization that they are actually capable of succeeding often arrives years after they have left your classroom. You might never get to see the result of your hard work firsthand. You will often hear the quote, Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire, a phrase famously and incorrectly attributed to the poet William Butler Yeats, pictured here. For a struggling learner, getting that fire started is incredibly difficult. Success with these students is measured by the protection of a fragile spark, shielding it for months or years until the student is finally ready to let it burn on their own.